Welcome back into another edition of TDN Daily for Friday, August 5th. And I guess we made it, guys. There was football played last night. The quality of football for fans is obviously up for debate. In the Hall of Fame game, it was the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Las Vegas Raiders. No Trevor Lawrence for the Jaguars, no Derek Carr for the Raiders, no Davante Adams for the Raiders, all of that. But there are some things, I suppose, that we can take away from the very first game of the season. And the important part is that we no longer have to be without football until February of 2023. So let's stick with that here. Of course, Jarrett Stidham got the start for the Las Vegas Raiders. Stidham is obviously very familiar with the offense that McDaniels runs, and it looked like it. In fact, the Raiders in general just looked like a team that was much further along, and that's okay because guess what? They are. Even down the depth chart, they are more evolved than the Jacksonville Jaguars. Both of these teams have new coaching staffs, have new schemes, have new systems, but the personnel is just a little bit better still in Las Vegas. What was interesting, though, was that Josh Jacobs, running back Josh Jacobs, was not pulled after the first series with most of the starters. He remained in the game for another series, signifying that perhaps this job, the featured back job, isn't going to be handed directly to him, or may not be anyone at all. You look at the offense that New England deploys most often, and it's more of a running back by committee. And that's kind of what we saw, that Josh Jacobs was getting in the mix with the rookie Zamir White. They have Kenyon Drake. Heck, they brought in Brandon Bolden from New England. So all signs are pointing to the Raiders now deploying a sort of running back by committee, which would take away the job of Josh Jacobs being that featured back. But might also save some tread on Josh Jacobs. So that was very interesting to see on the Raiders side. On the Jacksonville side, I don't think that anyone is worried about the number one overall pick, Trayvon Walker. Jacksonville's looking pretty good for that right now. Granted, the sample size is very small, but he was everywhere in the first quarter and a half of that game. He triggered back-to-back sacks at one point, so he had a sack, and then the next play, Arden Key got a sack, and it was just good to see how powerful and just athletic he is. I mean, this is a guy that can pretty much probably play every position on the field given his athleticism, but he's also like 300 pounds. So at his size, he just moves like he shouldn't, and that is exactly what you saw out of him. The defense in general was interesting as well, just because, again, this is a new system. Defensive coordinator Mike Caldwell has spent the last part of his career under the tutelage of now Buccaneers head coach Todd Bowles, and it showed. You saw the defense especially kind of put that emphasis up front, put an emphasis on trying to stop the run and being really physical, multiple fronts, stunts, all getting after the quarterback. There were some major similarities there, even with the personnel that they're trying to figure out still. Listen, Jacksonville's set up pretty well to run a system like that. You've got pass rusher Josh Allen. Now you've got clearly Trayvon Walker. You've got to figure out that interior a little bit. You got some middle linebackers there that'll help direct traffic. So encouraging things, I think, even though the Jaguars weren't particularly productive on the scoreboard. But it'll be interesting to see how the Raiders develop a little bit more, especially given the division they're in and the expectations on the Raiders this year. That offense in general, you got the running back by committee. You start to look at this personnel as well. It's kind of, I don't know, it's matching up with New England's a little bit more too. I don't know, Davante Adams is probably the outlier there, being such a big-bodied receiver, but because of the chemistry he has with Derek Carr, I'm not worried. But you've got the really big, physical, reliable, pass-catching tight end in Darren Waller. You've got the shifty little slot receiver, or the guy that can really go all over the field like Julian Edelman in Hunter Renfrow. So we'll see the similarities that might happen for the Raiders from New England. While this game doesn't mean much to fans, it means a lot to these players. So I implore you to think about that when you are watching preseason football. That is what it is here for. It is here to determine rosters, and that means a lot to a lot of these guys. So while for fans, it's a little hard to watch sometimes, you can really get some clue. You can clue into some of the depth and things that guys are fighting for, the position battles that guys are fighting for. Elsewhere around the league, I had football to talk about, so I wanted to talk about football, but at the same time, Commissioner Roger Goodell did come out and he appointed his designee to hear the appeal for Deshaun Watson's 6-game suspension. It is a guy by the name of Peter C. Harvey. He is the former Attorney General of New Jersey. He has been the commissioner's arbitrator before. He will make the decision, and now we will wait for that. He's got a background in criminal law with an emphasis in domestic violence and sexual assault. He actually also was one of the guys that was consulted for the NFL's personal conduct policy. So he was part of developing and implementing that policy. So we'll see how that ends up going. That will do it for our very first week of TDN Daily videos. It is Friday, August 5th. I will see you on Monday.